All right, guys, here we go. Today, new guest, Chris Dumas. He's coming to us from Atlantic City live. Chris, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm glad we got in contact, thanks to social media, me getting trying to get my stories out there and also seeing you online. Saw a couple stories. I was interested in talking to you and working with you as well. So we're here to hear your story. You have a huge story to tell us. There's no way we're going to fit it all in one episode. So I'm going to leave the floor to you, and you can tell us what you'd like to tell us today. Just remembering, for all our viewers, everything we push here, we're pushing positivity. Anything to do with, overcoming, being against all odds. That's where we're at, right? We've been through hell, we came out, and now we're telling our story so, the young kids can listen to it. You don't want to end up where we were. You might not make it out. So just listen to the stories, but always leave here with knowing that this is all positive stuff and we want to educate the youth. All right. So, Chris, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, brother, you pretty much said it. Positivity, man, and it's so hard, because when you see so much negative, and it's like inbred, it starts to be inbred in your brain, the negative. But there is a positive side, and even the prison, man, like regrets, stuff like that. I went through what I went through. I'm who I am because of what I went through. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of my backstory growing up, to just get, to know me, I guess. Um, I kind of like, so mother and father were split up. Mother was on drugs, and we moved around a lot in New Jersey. We started off down in Lindenwold, and we would always move at night. My mom had problems with paying the rent, stuff like that. She wouldn't want to see the landlord, jump in rent. So, through my early years into my teens, that's what I was doing. I was jumping around with my mom from apartment, and it was always like, low income. And a lot of times I was the only white guy in the areas I grew up in. And you know, uh, a lot of them guys became family to me. It was rough. It was rough, but a lot of them guys became, really close to me. So we moved around. I kept in touch with people, and for some reason, I was an athlete, man, and all I wanted to do was play ball, man. That's all I wanted to do. And sometime around 16, 17, these guys started smoking bud, man, like heavy, and it was the thing to do. I would say this is 92, 91. And I remember even getting mad, like, come on, bro. Like, I don't want to go play ball. You guys are retarded right now. We can't even, you know what I mean? And I watched it. I had seen it, and I said, man, I never would get into drugs just because of what I see my mother go through. I said, I never get into drugs. So, as I grew up, I didn't have a whole lot. And, I wanted the sneakers, I wanted the clothes, the cars, I wanted
Yeah,
stuff, man. And that's what I
sure.
was seeing, and I was in with some guys that were doing it. So, you know, as I got older, I'd say 16, I started to change, man. I started to drink. I started to do these things that I said I wouldn't do. I started to drink. I started smoking bud. And I can't put my finger on it, where the change came, or, you would figure after seeing something, you wouldn't repeat that. And I repeated kind of like my mother was a beautiful lady at heart, but the drugs were her demon, man. And
Chris,
I
where were you when all this was happening? Were you in
so
Atlantic
at that
City?
time, at that time I'm down in Lindenwold. Like,
Okay,
I'm going to start at 14, where I
okay,
started
okay,
moving around.
okay.
I'm down in Lindenwold. We're jumping from apartment to apartment, a lot of apartment complexes out there. But so and then we moved out Kramer Hill, out Camden for a little while. I
Okay.
had a father, and my father wouldn't come around my mother because of the drugs. But my father was a hard worker, and he's the greatest dude in the world, right? So he would come through on holidays, shit like that. He would make sure we were okay. He would make sure we were, because my mother couldn't do it because she was doing what she did. So I had that. I had my father that would come here, speak to me, take me fishing. Like I had that father role. He wasn't always there though. It was like visits. So, you know, when your mother's doing drugs and the father isn't always there, I can run wild, man. Like my mother didn't care. So,
Why,
when I hit
why,
16,
why didn't you go with him? That wasn't an option?
it kind of wasn't an option at the time. It kind of
Okay,
wasn't an option. That's a story in itself because
okay,
I actually have like two different last names, and I really don't even know if my like they have these tests now, and I don't even want to do it out of respect to my father, take these tests. But my
okay.
mother was with another guy, and the name Dumas, I didn't find that out until I went to the DMV and tried to get my license, and I pulled my birth certificate out and said, "What the hell is this?" And my mother came down and tried to explain to my father, and you know. But long story short, I had time to run, man. Like, my mother didn't really care. My father wasn't there. So I had time to run. And as time went on and the drinking and smoking and clicking up with, certain people and seeing what I seen, I started to get involved in that. I started to get involved in that. And but people were into selling powder at the time.
Okay.
And they were making money off of it. And at that time I was reckless. So a lot of them were always coaching me, like, trying they loved the shit out of me. They knew I could do something, but they were like, yo, Chris, you gotta calm down, man. You're a little reckless, and these dudes moved in a certain way. And
Okay.
I shot you a picture, and that was my crew right there. And
Yeah.
they're all older than me. And so anyway, finally they opened the door and they let me in. And they said, look, this is what we do, and this is, how we do it. So
Okay.
now, 16, 17, 18, I'm making money. I'm getting those things that I wanted. I'm running with this crew. And I'd say about I was 21 years old, man, and I haven't touched prison. I was too paranoid, man. Like I never got caught with drugs, shit like that. I'd always keep them put up. 2021, I had dipped with Percocets here and there. And in 2021, I'll never forget, I was in the basement. We were bagging up coke, me and my partner, one of my partners. And his father, Domingo, came down and he used to give me perks here and there. He had a hit back. And he said, I got this new pill. And I said, new pill. And he goes, yeah. He goes, a doctor gave it to me. He said in Spanish, the doctor gave it to me. Here, try it. And me, I chew pills up. This is how I do it. I didn't know what it was. I chewed the pill up. 20 minutes later, bro, I'm bagging my coke, his coke. I'm running around the fucking basement. I'm out of control. I'm a different person. My person, like, I was always refined and quiet, and I
Yeah.
found it. It was an Oxycontin. I find out it's an Oxycontin, and I find this high that I've been missing. Like, and it had to do with everything, my hustle, everything, because, now I take this pill and I'm going into places and I'm the life of the party. You know what I mean? So
What was it?
gradually, what's that?
What was the pill?
An Oxycontin. It ended up
Oh,
being an Oxycontin.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at that time, I didn't know much about them. All I knew was, this pill is making me who I want to be. You know what I mean? Alcohol,
Okay.
this and that. So, I'm in the circle, we're hustling, we're making money. Same stories everybody's got. We went from the weed to the powder, but the powder was really moving. And I'm eating these pills, and they're telling me, man, bro, you ain't you. And I think that everybody loves me, but this isn't me. This is somebody else. This is who I become when I'm on shit like that, right? So as time goes by, I'm maintaining with the cocaine. I'm maintaining shit's, I'm making money. I'm popping these pills, and my tolerance starts getting really high. And same story. Somebody, pulled some dope out, and that was my mother's drug of choice. And I ended up doing it. Mind you, I'm still, hustling the powder. I'm still in the circle. At the time, I don't know what I can say and what I can't say on YouTube. It's so tricky. But at the time, I'm getting 9 ounces. I'm 4,300. I'm going over and getting quarter keys, and
Okay.
I feel like I'm a man. I mean,
Where were
just
you? Where were you picking up at?
out, well, Philly. We're going out Philly. We're going over the bridge, so we're doing runs over the bridge all the
Okay.
time,
Okay.
which were tricky. Cutting my back over the bridge with a lot. The quarter key is mine, but a lot of times I would have some of theirs too. So I'm coming over to Blue. I'm coming over to Ben Franklin, and coming back, and there would always be cops posted up, and I would make it. By the grace of God, I'd make it through. But so the drug use got worse. Now I'm sniffing dope. These dudes are really noticing it. But as long as I maintain the business, everything's okay. And now these guys are starting to get into the Atlantic City clubs, to the Philly clubs, and they're paying the owners, so they can. We're selling the E and we're selling the
Yeah.
Coke and everything going at the time.
Okay.
But the whole time I'm doing heroin, and they really don't know it. They just, I mean, what's up with Chris, man? What's up with
Yeah.
Chris lately? So I'll tell you how I got jammed. How I got booked my first time. It's almost embarrassing, but so uh there was a setup, a meet that I was supposed to meet a guy, and I had a little under 2 keys. I had 1,008 grams in one bag, and then I had a little under 1,000 in another bag.
Okay.
Now these weren't my drugs. Only a quarter of a key of it was mine, but I had two of them. So I was at a Best Western, and I'm supposed to meet this guy in like 2 hours. He's going to pick up the keys. My crew is like, we're back and forth on the phone, and everything's what it is. And a friend of mine came over. I invited a friend of mine, and we're smoking, which we shouldn't have been doing because we're doing business, and we're smoking bud. And I gotta have my dope. I'm on my dope. And fucking there was some chicks like 3 doors away. And I think the room number was 114. So the kid asked me, he goes, "Yo, where was those chicks that we passed in the hallway earlier? What room were they in?" And I said, "I think they're in room 114." Well, back in the day, at that time, I'm going to say it was like 2000. Like, I had a cell phone. Everybody didn't have cell phones at the time, still like kind of transitioning from the
Uh-huh.
pagers to the cell
Yeah.
phones, late
Yeah.
90s.
Yep.
So I had a cell phone, but this guy picks up the fucking hotel phone, and you have to dial 9 before you call another room.
Yeah.
So the room number was 114. I remember that. And he dialed 91114.
Oh no.
And yeah, and automatically the police picked up, and he looked over at me and he goes, "Dude." And I was like, "What'd you do?" And he goes, "Dude, I just fucking." I said, "Are you fucking kidding me, bro?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Fuck, what are we gonna?" He said, "Yeah, but I just told the lady it was a mistake. The dispatch. I just told her it was a mistake." And I said, I don't know, man. About 20 minutes goes by, and I have about a half hour before this meet's going to happen. About 20 minutes goes by, and there's a knock on the door. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? And then I said, don't answer, don't answer it. Then I hear, it's management, we're coming in.
Oh
So I
no.
go over to the door, and I open the door, and there's like 4 cops and management. And I'm like, what the fuck? So the coat's under the bed mattress. And I wasn't even stashing it hard because I did this so many times. It was like it's nothing. It's
Yeah.
fun. I'm not even stashing. It's under the mattress. So, and there was also a gun under the mattress. So anyway, the cops say they smell bud. They're with the manager. They're coming in regardless. That's
Yep.
just how it went down. So they come in and fucking sloppy me just by picking up. I believe it all stemmed from me getting high, starting to get high because I wasn't thinking straight. I wasn't me. Uh, they were in the room for about all 5 minutes, and they found the coke. So when they found the coke, I immediately ate it. I knew eat it like as in like I immediately took the charge
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my man got nothing to do with it. This ain't all my coke, but it is what it is. So, boom, they take me down, they book me, intent, all that, boom,
Yep.
boom. Um, I get in the county jail, Camden County Jail, rough stop, never been there before. Uh, and I can tell you this much, man, like I've been to a lot of county jails, but Camden County Jail is one of the rougher stops I've been to, man. It was like pretty much the first time I was entering the world where I couldn't get out. Like, I didn't think my boys were going to have that bail money because the bail money, it was high. And then other things come into play, when you're dealing with your crew and them putting money up, shit like that.
Yeah.
They can't do it. You know what I'm saying? They would have the third party. They tried to put a house up at one time. It wasn't happening. So I go into county jail, and I remember my first day in. You go through a 7 day lock day period down period. So I go through the 7 day, and I'm asking questions in 7 day, like, yo, bro. So like when they send me, where do you? And they're like, bro, you got a big charge, man. You're probably going to go to 5 North A, which 5 North A is like the max block. It's a big block. You're probably going to go up there. And he goes, dude, be prepared, man. You know what I mean? You're white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, what the fuck, man? And so I remember the cop coming. I was dreading that 7 days. Like everybody wants out of 7 day. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want out of 7 day. Like I was cool
Yeah.
in that. I was cool in that cell at the time because I don't know
Uh-huh.
prison. You know what I mean? I don't know jail. So the 7th day comes. It was early in the morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning. The door pops, and the cop, reading his list, and he says, "Dumas, pack your stuff up. You're going upstairs." So peace to the cellies. And I walk out. So they take me upstairs, and they took me exactly where these dudes said, 5 North A. It's a jungle. It's a jungle. So I get up top, and I'm looking through the gate, through the glass, and the cops are like in a bubble, and fucking you got like three gates and like four pieces of glass separating the cops from fucking these tiers, right?
Uh-huh.
So they just basically throw me in and say, you're going to cell 23. So I don't know any better. So I take everybody in the place is looking at me. So I take my mat up to cell 23, and fucking I open the door, and two dudes are in it. And I start to unroll my mat, and dude turns over and he goes, yo, bro, you got to find somewhere else to live. It's two black dudes. And I'm like, what do you mean? The cop told me cell 23. He was like, I don't give a fuck what the cop told you, bro. Fucking, it ain't, I don't know anything about the politics, the jail, anything. I
Yeah.
don't know. So I say, fuck. So I start trying to, kick it to him. I'm like, look, bro, I'm straight up. I'm a clean dude, like fucking bull. I don't give a fuck, bro. You ain't living here. So it got to the point where dude took my mat, and I'm on the top tier, and everybody sees it coming because they know. I don't know who these dudes are at the time, but these dudes are the dudes of that tier. And somehow or another, I get sent to that. So I don't know if the cops set it up that way. I don't know what happened. It knew I was a rookie and knew just so
Yeah.
Duke comes off the bottom bunk or top bunk, I'm sorry, and he grabs my mat and all my shit. That's the little bit of shit they give you, the cosmetics and shit, and he throws it over the top tier, and he goes, go find a place to live. So when he does that, my instincts say, look, I know about jail. I hear about jail. Hook off. Like, you got to go. It's go time. So that's what I do. I bing, bing, like hook off, and fucking me
Uh-huh.
and him are fighting. His celly basically comes out laughing. Fucking, I got dude clinched up against the fucking rail. Fucking, I'm dope sick. I feel like shit. I'm 170 pounds, and I just don't want to get beat to death. So, like,
Yeah.
fucking, I did what I could. I got the first shot off on him, and then from there, he started to kind of toss me around, and I clinched him, and I just hold him against the rail. So his bunky lucky comes out, and he fucking breaks it up, and I learned right there and then, bro. I learned a lesson right there and then. All you need to do is stand up for yourself.
Yeah. Right
It,
there, you
it
earned your respect. That's it.
that's it. That's it. It didn't matter if I won or lost that fight, which I lost. I lost, but it didn't matter. So I find out, so the mat's downstairs. I get in the fight. We toss it up. Fucking dude goes back in his cell. I go downstairs, and I sit on my mat. About 5 minutes later, dudes are approaching me because that respect, man, that respect that you get from fucking holding your own is so strong. And I learned that anywhere you go. And that was my example right there. That's where I learned right there, man. Like, I didn't want confrontation with anybody, but I knew, listen, this is what gains respect here. It's nothing else. So a couple dudes approached me, white dudes, shit like that. They approached me and they're like, "Yo, bro, that's the White House up there. There's like four cells, and there's like, four in each cell, two on the floor, two on a bunk, and they own like four of the cells out of fucking, I don't know. There's probably 120 people on a tier where there should only be like 60, right? It's like double, right?
Yeah.
So fucking, they're like, dude, you got a spot in our cell. So immediately, I start to pay attention. I start to learn the politics, during the county. I start to learn the politics. And it didn't take me long, bro, to get on top, to get that runner job at night. All it was that one fight in the beginning was that one
Uh-huh.
fight. Um, there was another incident over a shower, where, I was next in line and dude cut me and I fought him. And at this time now I'm like, 215, my weight's back. And I got the best of them on the floor. They said, take it to the cell. I got the best of them in the cell. So that was like my second fight. So now I'm peeping these white dudes, and these white dudes duck. Like they duck everything. They're paying to stay. And I'm like, what the fuck? There's like six of them on the tier, right? And
Yeah.
I see like when canteen comes, I see what's going on. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, wait, I'm gonna sell with these fucking chumps. Like, this is how I'm starting to look at it. Like, it's not hard to hold your own, bro. I'm not giving my canteen to anybody. Like, it's not going like that. And they're telling me, dude, I'm telling you, just to keep the peace, just to, So I'm going to tell you how I got introduced to the organization, to the association that I got introduced to. Um, so where I grew up, it was a lot of Spanish, a lot of black. After a couple months, guys started to realize like, oh, you're so and so from over here in this apartment. I know you, I know your crew, boom, boom, boom. And I got closer and closer with the Spanish.
Okay.
I ended up moving my cell to the Spanish cell because these white dudes were just ducking, bro. Like in the 2 years I was there, all those white dudes went. Like they all checked in after time. They got fucked up. It came to the point where I was the only white dude on the tier. Like I was the only white dude on a tier. I remember for like 3 months straight. I was like the only. Every time a white dude would come on a tier, it was the same thing, bro. I was like, man, how long is it going to be before he hits that gate? Because he's going to hit that gate. And they would test him, try him, and it would happen. And it was frustrating me because, it was just like I'm against depression and shit like that, and it was just like for what? But it's county jail, guys are
Hey,
off the hook or
Chris,
whatever.
when you say they would hit the gate, what do you mean? You guys would make him, or he would be made to go bang on
Hitting
the
the
door.
gate is
He
like
wants
checking
out.
in. Like yeah, hitting the gate is like checking in. Like over there in Canada County, you hit the gate, bro. You're checking in. You're going to the gate, and you're trying to get a hold of these cops that are in a bubble. All cell doors are open all day long. 4 o'clock in the morning, they pop them unless they're doing their count. So it's a jungle, bro. So these dudes, hit the gate, bro. You can't live here. So it went like that. So you know, but what happened was over that county stay, I learned politics. I learned politics. I learned how to, get with the right people, talk to the right people, shit like that. Um, I got closer and closer with the Spanish. And there was you had your kings in there, you had your bloods, you had your crips, and you had a small crew of nietas in there. But the way they moved to me was everything I was in my book. And I know I'm getting ready to go do some time with this shit. And I believe that it was you know, I could have rolled solo. I could have took the train solo. It didn't matter, bro, at that point. But I was seeing something that was beautiful. It was I was seeing how they ate together. I was seeing how they took care of their own. I was seeing how they would fight for those that would fight, for themselves. I was watching this, and my cellie was actually in the afternoon, he's talking to me about it. And he's like, yo, bro, and never in my life would I think, I'm going to join anything. Like in my head, like never in my life would I think I'd do that. But after time went by, man, and, I don't want to say too much about the association because I don't know how much I can say, but the things they live by, I lived by. I did it. And basically what they told me is, you were born that. You were born that. You were born this association. If you're in the situation, you're in the prison situation. And now, because this is a movement that's only supposed to be in the prison system or the jail system. So I became that. I went through the situation to become that because, you know, I wasn't, I didn't have anybody at home. People had turned their backs. You know what I mean? My crew was putting money on my books, and for one reason, because they wanted their names to never pop up, and it never did. It was their shit. You know what I mean? But I was going to take it all, so they're taking. So I do about 2 years on that tier, and I'm going back and forth to court, and they're offering numbers, and I don't want to get too deep into that because that's another story in its own. But I end up taking a 16 with an 8 year stipulation.
What does that mean?
So in Jersey they have flat numbers, they have stipulation numbers, and they have 85% numbers, kind of like Florida. uh a flat number, say I got a 10, uh you get good time and you get work time and shit, and you can work that 10 flat down to like fucking 6 or 5 years if you do
Okay.
everything the right way. Now, a stipulation, now see, if I would have got the 16 flat, I could have worked the flat number down to, probably, 8, 9. I could have probably cut it in half if I did everything the right way. um but I got a stipulation, meaning I couldn't go anywhere until I seen parole after that 6.5 years. I got a 16 with a 6.5. After that 6.5, I could see parole. I couldn't do anything until then. That
Okay.
back number would still creep down, but that 6.5 was mandatory. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
know I'm doing it. So it took about 2 years for me to get that number. So I get the number, and now when I get the number, I come back on the pod, and they're telling me you'll be here about 2 weeks, bro, and you're going to a place called Craft. Uh, that's in New Jersey. I know you're from Jersey, and I know you
Yeah.
heard of it.
Yeah.
That's the reception center, and that's where they send you. And at this time, I'm 26, so I'm on the borderline of going to either youth corrections or adult corrections. This is what I'm being told in the county
Yeah.
jail. You know what I mean? So my goal is to get to the adult facility. So I get over to Kraft, and Kraft actually asked me where I wanted to go. And they said you're borderline, we can send you down Yardville, Bordentown, but if you want to go up to an adult prison, these are your choices. You got Southern State, Southwood, or Northern State. And I picked Southern State